And to discuss, we have with us Mr. Prabhu Dayal, former ambassador, joining us in the studio right now. Thank you so much, Ambassador, for joining us here on Rajya Sabha Television.
Thank you.
Sir, the US partial government shutdown has now entered its third week, and more than 8 lakh federal employees are affected. They are either working, not working at all, they have to work without pay, they have to stay indoors. How do you look at the situation? Do you think Donald Trump really has been not considerate towards these workers who are affected?
Well, of course, the affected workers are hugely disenchanted and are in fact angry. As you said in the introduction, there are 800,000 federal workers who have been sent on leave without pay or who are required to come and work without getting paid. So many of them say that they live from paycheck to paycheck and are not able to meet two ends meet. They also say that there are many essential payments that they have to make, such as mortgage payments, and they would forfeit their homes in case mortgage payments are not made. So there is a lot of anger among them, particularly because they say that congressmen, the president and the president's staff will continue to draw their salaries. There are many persons who are classified as the providers of essential services, such as TSA agents, who are reporting sick and not coming for work because, again, they don't want to work without pay. So there is a great deal of resentment. And as you mentioned in the introductory part, both sides seem to be digging in, the Democrats and the Republicans. And President Trump has said that this shutdown, which is now entering its third week, he wouldn't mind extending it for months and years if he doesn't get his wall.
So that is what is the question is, how long can this continue? Do you think there is any solution in sight?
Well, a solution can only be found if both sides agree to a compromise. Of course, pressure is building both on the Democrats and the Republicans to work out a compromise because people are greatly disenchanted. There has been a disruption of essential services and people are very unhappy about it. So there is some indication that attempts are being made to work out a compromise. The two top Democratic leaders, Nancy Pelosi, who's the president, the chairman of the House of, the Speaker of the House of Representatives, and Senator Chuck Schumer, who's the Senate Minority Leader, the leader of the Democratic Party. They met President Trump a few hours ago, but the meeting was very combative. However, there are certain things which I must point out. When President Trump spoke later to reporters, he said that he's asking for a wall or a barrier. He said it doesn't have to be a concrete wall. Even a fence would do. Now, there is some possibility of a compromise being worked out because what he was initially asking was $5.6 billion. But certainly a fence will not require that. In fact, he said a fence would be better because you can see what's happening across on the other side. So the Democrats also, when they had passed this legislation to authorize the ending of the shutdown, they had included $1.3 billion towards border security. The Republicans have been asking them to increase this amount. So if there is some give and take, if President Trump comes down on his requirement and settles for a fence which would cost less, and if the Democrats are prepared to fund a little more towards border security, I think some compromise can be worked out. Frankly, while President Trump has said that he doesn't mind the shutdown continuing for months or even years, nobody wants that happening because their popularity would be eroded. The public, the voters will hold both sides accountable. And I think neither the Republicans nor the Democrats would want that sort of thing.
Absolutely. Both would not want that sort of thing to happen. But Donald Trump has even said that he's ready to declare even an emergency to build the wall without Congress. Do you think he can do that? And if he does, can somebody move courts for that?
Well, theoretically, under US laws, the president can declare an emergency and authorize expenditure for building a wall, taking the money out of the defense budget. Money which has been apportioned for other purposes relating to defense, he could divert. In practical terms, I don't see that as happening because, as you said, there would be a spate of lawsuits to prevent this from happening. The Democrats are not going to allow that. In all likelihood, there would be attempts made towards some kind of a compromise. At the moment, things are very far away from such a compromise. But considering the fact that the mood of the voters is increasingly becoming more and more angry, that anger is going to be taken out against the elected representatives. So surely both the Republicans and the Democrats would want some kind of a solution to be worked out. And as I said, when President Trump said he didn't ask for a concrete wall, he said just I asked for a wall or a barrier, which is coming down in terms of his initial position. And I think if he comes down and the Democrats go up a few notches, the Americans would be released from this situation where they are between a rock and a hard place.
Absolutely. How is this entire shutdown affecting Donald Trump's popularity, not only in terms of his popularity in the electorate, but also within the party? So far, Republicans have shown a sort of united front.
Well, you know, in his meeting with Senator Chuck Schumer and Congresswoman Nancy Pelosi, the first 15 minutes was spent by Donald Trump lecturing to them and speaking to them in very strong terms, using expletives, I'm told, about this whole impeachment business. There are lots of analysts who feel that President Trump has raised the ante on this entire border wall issue to work out some sort of an arrangement so that this whole impeachment process and the Mueller investigation could be dropped. The Democrats are not going to be willing to do that. I think they want to keep the pressure on President Trump. But there is a growing feeling in the United States amongst analysts and in the media that President Trump is using this entire border wall issue as an excuse to kill the Mueller investigation, to get it out of the way, because he is having a very hard time in terms of this entire impeachment issue.
Absolutely.
So his popularity surely is coming down, particularly amongst people who are the working class and who are supporters of the Democratic Party. They say that his popularity amongst his voter base remains very strong. But if they feel the inconvenience of things, then I'm sure that they would be affected. You know, there are minor issues which may not appear very important to us, but they irk the common man. For instance, in terms of the shutdown, national parks are open, but the employees there have been withdrawn because they are federal employees. Now, in the last few days, there have been 3 deaths in national parks, and there is a lot of anger among people about this whole matter. So certainly the popularity of President Trump would be affected, but as I see it, and as many people see it, he is trying to use this wall issue to somehow get rid of this impeachment process.
All right. So, but the shutdown that began on 22nd of December, of course, is the 19th to occur since the mid-70s. And some, of course, have been really brief. You have to wait and watch how long this one lasts. The
longest till now, Aishwarya, was 21 days. And by the look of things, this one might become longer than that.
All right. We have to wait and watch whether that happens or not. Thank you so much, Ambassador, for joining us and sharing your perspective on that entire story. Thank you so much.
Thank you.